Erik ten Hag is no more. That's right, Manchester United pull the trigger and get rid of the Dutchie, who will, of course, take over the reins over at Old Trafford. We'll talk about that and much more next. That's right, folks, back once again with a picture video today. It's all about match number 10, that's right, over in the Premier League, with currently Man City topping the bloody charts. And breaking bloody news, Rodri, Ballon d'Or winner, of course, just overnight, breaking news overnight, of course. So, Man City, can they remain top of the table in a very tight two-horse race currently with Arsenal on limping along recently with not the best run of events. We'll take a look at all of that and much more in a second. Of course, if you knew where you've been, you want to stop shop for Premier League, Babin Rovers and World Football is right here under one Rooski. Man City, yes, they do top the charts, yet to taste defeat, but Liverpool are just 1 point behind them in what's going to be a very, very busy week this week in the Premier League. We'll get into all of that in a minute. Big shout out to the VIPs, the patrons, you know who you are, and a big shout out to the members, you know who you are. But let's turn the clock back and look, of course, at the results this past weekend, my picks, your picks, and all that kind of jazz. Alrighty then, folks, let's turn the clock back to this past weekend and have a look at the results. Of course, here they are, and what's some crackers in there, wasn't there? Including Nottingham Forest big win, 3-1 win against Leicester in the Stevie Cooper derby. Big win for them to keep them up in a good spot on the table. Leicester still lounging around the bottom end. Meanwhile, Villa could only draw against Bournemouth, who were picking up some good, strong results recently. That's at Villa Park as well. Ipswich a little bit hard done by losing to Brentford in a 7-goal thriller, 4-3 in favour of Brentford. I did get the win on that. Meanwhile, Brighton and Wolves could only duke it out to a 2-2 draw, and City only putting one past a Southampton side. Everton and Fulham only drew as well. Chelsea with a big 2-1 win over the Geordies. We saw that coming. They meet again in the Cup this week. Palace with a big win over Tottenham, 1-0 winners, and there it is, guys. There it is, the final nail in the coffin, the David Moyes derby. West Ham putting 2 past Manchester United, just 1 to send Erik ten Hag to the job office. He's off. He's unemployed, and now, of course, he's who's going to come in? We'll talk about that in a minute. Meanwhile, Arsenal with a 2-2 draw against Liverpool. I was leaning on the fence on that one, but I went for Arsenal, but it looks like I got it wrong. Anyway, the table looks like this. As you see it, City are top with just 1 point clear of Liverpool. It's going to be quite spicy whenever those the big boys start to intertwine again. Of course, meanwhile, Villa are on the outside looking in. Going down, it's Southampton, it's Wolves, it's Ipswich after Crystal Palace's big win in a still quite tight looking race to avoid the drop. So looking pretty good. And Man United, they're in 14th. Currently, it looks like, they seem to have a guy in sights, a Portuguese fella, Almiron. So that may develop. And it looks like he is the prime candidate. He may be installed before this weekend's game, so we'll bear that in mind when we come around to that match. Meanwhile, let's take a look at your predictions then, shall we? They're on the screen now. Well, this is the Super Brew, as you see it, 37, picking up a 13-point haul this past weekend to put themselves a big climber, I imagine, in the table. Cole 8 up there, 12.5. Jamie SOAFC with a 12.5 as well. I didn't do the greatest, I don't think. I'm trying to see where the heck I am. Not great. Did I even get my predictions? Like, being on the road made it quite difficult to get my picks in. They're around 3.5. Pretty grim stuff there, guys. Not great. But we're going to bounce back this weekend. I guarantee it. Lewis Arthur remains top of the charts there, 105 points. With Dream Marley up there in second with 100 points. Bang on the nose. Macca's up there in number 3 spot. Good for him. Case Gift Cab down to number 5, though. The big shake-up in the middle of the pack there. Big Mark up there. Aquala up there, moving up. And Costas K into the top 10. As for me, I'm all the way down in the 40s or something like that. Is that right? Yeah, 41, something like that. But anyway, if you see names, smash the like, guys. You know what to do. Let's take a look then at the old link. That's the link if you want to get involved. It's 100% free. But of course, we're going to look forward now to the next round of games. Alrighty then, at the top of the graphic, we've got an absolute banger coming at you this coming Saturday. It's Newcastle. It's Arsenal. It's coming at you at St. James's Park. That's right. Let's talk about it. They played 62 times since 1993. 12 wins for the what do we call them? The Geordies. That's right. 39 wins for Arsenal. 11 draws between the two sides. Newcastle, 12th in the table with 12 points to the campaign. Just one win though in the last 6 matches. Up against Arsenal on 75% form for them right now. Just 1 defeat in the last 6. Of course, heading into this game, they are 3rd right now, 18 points to their name. Now, they last played at Newcastle. It was a 1-0 win for the Geordies back in November 2023. Newcastle on the back of a 2-1 loss to Chelsea, but they're going to take on Chelsea again in the League Cup this coming Wednesday. Meanwhile, Arsenal also in action against Preston in the Cup as well this coming Wednesday. Could be a distraction, probably a chance to rotate the squad. And of course, Arsenal coming into this on the back of that 2-2 draw against Liverpool. The odds here, though, is 5-2 is your Geordies, 10-9 on is your Arsenal, 29-10 is the draw. Arsenal need a result, and they need one fast, and they need results to go their way this week, which doesn't look likely. But I'm going to go with it. A 2-1 win for Arsenal on the road. It might be difficult, might be tricky, but they'll get the 3 points in the end. Let's go to the coast then, shall we, as Bournemouth take on champions and table toppers Manchester City. The Vitality Stadium played 15 times since 2015. Nothing. No wins for Bournemouth over the course of those last 15. 15 wins for City. There's not even been a draw, that's right. But Bournemouth coming into in 11th with 12 points to the name. Just one defeat in the last 4. They've got some good results, like I said. I guess Man City have won 5 of the bouts, including in these results without Rodri, of course. Injured, out for the most majority of the season, it looks like. But who cares? They're still top of the table and they're still looking good, despite some whimpering results in the league. When I say whimpering, they're winning by 1-goal margins. 3-2 win over Fulham. What, a 2-1 win over Wolves. Just a 1-0 win over Southampton. It's not been pretty, but that's what champions do. They get it done. They get over the line. Bournemouth, though, on the back of good results against Arsenal and Villa. Can they make it a three-peat and get something out of this game against Man City? It's not looking likely, of course. Meanwhile, Bournemouth are not in the Cup. They've got all week to prepare for this. City have got a ding-dong classic against Spurs on Wednesday in the League Cup. The odds here, 90-4 is your Bournemouth, 20-11 on is your City, 60-5 is the draw. Could it possibly? Could Bournemouth get a three-peat and cause a shocker? Not for me, guys. Going to go with a big one here. 3-0 win for City against Bournemouth down on the coast. Meanwhile, it's a return to Championship. Or these times, what I mean by that is like last season, these two were in the Championship and it was a race for the title, which I believe Leicester won it in the end. Of course, Ipswich Town, of course, under Kieran McKenna, however, winless in 6 right now. In fact, they haven't won the last 10 matches up against Leicester under Stevie Cooper, having a bit better form for them right now. 3 wins of the last 6 games in all competitions and all venues. They're on 9 points right now with 15 for the table. Now, they last played, of course, in the Championship, which was last season at Portman Road. It was a 1-1 draw. In fact, they exchanged 1-1 draws both at the King Power and Portman Road in the Championship last season. The last time anybody won, it was Leicester City picking up a big 3-0 win at the King Power. In fact, they're unbeaten against Ipswich over the last 4, picking up 2 wins and those 2 draws from last season. Ipswich on the back of that 7-goal loss to Brentford. I don't even know when the last win was. Leicester on the back of that Stevie Cooper derby lost to Nottingham Forest this past weekend. I think Leicester are in action there, of course, taking on Manchester United in the Cup. And Ipswich got all week to prepare for this one as well. And can they get it right this time? 6-5 is your Ipswich, 21-10 is the Leicester, 5-2 is the draw. This is a tricky one, this one, but I believe it's one Ipswich Town can win, and I think they will win. 2-1 winners at Portman Road to maybe just finally get them a big fat W over the Premier League. Meanwhile, over at Anfield, it's Liverpool up against Brighton over Albion. That's right, coming at you. I think it's a doubleheader as well this week in the Cup and in the League. Of course, they're going to meet this coming Wednesday at the Amex, but this time and this weekend, they're going to meet over at Anfield. Now, played 17 times in 2011, 10 wins for Liverpool with 3 wins for Brighton. There's been 4 draws between the 2 sides. Liverpool sitting second right now, 22 points to their name, winning 5 of the last 6 games, drawing the last. We'll talk about that in a minute. Brighton on the back of just 1 defeat in the last 6. They're on 67% form for them. They 6th with 16 points with Fabian Husler at the helm. Last time they played over at this very venue was a 2-1 win for Liverpool, who have only won once at the last 5 against Brighton. So they are a tricky wicket. It is the Alexis McAllister derby. Brighton and Liverpool both on the back of 6 draws this past weekend, both 2-2s. Liverpool drawing with Arsenal, Brighton drawing with Wolves. And again, like I said, they are meeting in the Cup at the Amex this coming Wednesday. Of course, the odds here, 50-21 on is your Liverpool, 7-2 is the draw, 6-1 is your away win. That's Brighton. It's at Anfield. It should be one winner in this game, and I'm going to go with a 3-0 win for the Scousers. Let's go to the City Ground now as Nottingham Forest take on West Ham United. Of course, Nottingham Forest 7th in the table, 16 points to the name. Up against West Ham, who are 13th with 11 points to the name. Now, they played 21 times since 1994. 5 wins for Forest, 12 wins for West Ham. 4 draws, of course. Forest just 1 defeat in the last 6. Up against West Ham, just 1 defeat in the last 4. The last time they played at this very venue was a 2-0 win for Forest back in February 2024. In fact, the last 6 matches, the home side has won this game. Not unbeaten, they have won it. it. Will it be the case this time around? Possibly. In fact, over the last maybe 6, maybe 10 times, the away side has only won once out of the last 10. The other 9 have been wins for the home side. So it does favour the home side. 3-1 is 3-1 victory for Forest over the weekend. Again, West Ham with that big 2-1 win over Man United, which of course cost a man his job. This weekend, this midweek, both sides are free to prepare for this game. No Caterpillar Cup action for both of these two sides. The odds 23-20 is your bloody hell. 23-20 is your Forest. 5-2 is the draw. 11-5 is your West Ham United on this one. Like I said, the home side seems to win this one. And I'm going to go with it. 2-1 win. Forest to take it and maintain their amazing season under Nuno Espirito Santo. Meanwhile, down at St Mary's we go. It's Southampton taking on Everton. Of course, with Russell Martin desperate, absolutely desperate for something this campaign. 1 point for the campaign this season. They sit 20th up against Everton with Sean Dyche on 9 points for the campaign, sitting in 16th. Now, they played 48 times since 1993. 17 wins for Southampton, 20 wins for Everton, and there's been 11 draws. With the most recent match earlier this campaign, it was a penalty shootout victory. Southampton coming out on top against Everton in the last round of the Cup. Now, the last time they played at St Mary's, it was a 2-1 win for Everton back in October 2022. Of course, Southampton on the back of that narrow 1-0 loss to City and the narrow loss against Leicester not too far away either. So there have been some more resolute performances, but realistically they need a win. Up against Everton are coming into on the back of a draw against Fulham. They're unbeaten now in the last 5 matches, with the last defeat being technically that penalty shootout loss to Southampton. Will Lightning strike twice? Of course, Southampton are preparing for Stoke this weekend. Also, there's midweek in the Cup. The odds right here right now, Southampton 8-5 for the victory, 2-5 is the draw, 13-8 is your Everton. Unfortunately for me, I think this will be a draw. Yeah, I'm going to go with a draw. There's going to be some draws knocking around this weekend in the Premier League, and this smells like one to me. What about you? Let me know down below. Next up, we go to Molineux as Wolves take on Crystal Palace. That's right. Both sides in pretty grim, dire straits right now, with Wolves down into 19th, Crystal Palace into 17th. But of course, coming at you this coming 2nd of November. 44 times they have played since 1993. 16 wins for Wolves, 20 wins for Palace. 8 draws between the two sides. Wolves, 8% form for them right now, winless in at least the last 8 games. Palace, though, just 1 win in the last 5. They're on 42% form. And maybe, just maybe, their season's about to start. Of course, last time around at Molineux was a 3-1 win for Palace, who did the double over Wolves last season, scoring 6 goals against their 3 over the course of those 2 games. Palace picking up a 1-0 win over Spurs. Wolves only a draw against Brighton this past weekend. Are they in the Cup? Don't think so. Palace actually are in the Cup. They're taking on Aston Villa. Tricky old game that over at Villa Park. The odds here, though, 70-10 is your Wolves. 8-5 is your Palace. 9-4 is the draw. It could also be a draw this game. But I'm back in Palace here. Maybe just that win against Spurs will be enough. Rotate the squad this week, freshen, keep the guys fresh following that big win. And this could actually propel them upwards and get themselves moving to the promising season that most of us, or some of us, expected. Let's go to London now as Spurs take on Aston Villa, and what a ding-dong classic's going to happen this weekend. Played 58 times since 1993, 27 wins for Tottenham, 18 wins for Aston Villa. There's been 13 draws. Spurs in 8th for the table with 13 points to name, 2 defeats in the last 6 matches up against Aston Villa, who are unbeaten in at least the last 11 games. They're on 75% form for them over the last 6. They sit 4th with 18 points right now, looking good under Unai Emery's stewardship. Last time they played, though, over at this very venue, it was a 2-1 win for Villa. That was back in November 2023. In fact, the home side has only won once of the last 5. That's when Villa beat Spurs in May 2023. Villa on the back of that 1-1 draw against Bournemouth. Spurs losing to Crystal Palace this past weekend. Both are in action in the Cup, but a busy old week for them. Spurs taking on City. Of course, Villa hosting Crystal Palace. But it'll be back-to-back home games for Spurs here, with of course the League game against City, the League Cup game against City, and then the League Cup the Premier League match against Aston Villa. The odds, though, for this, 5-4 on is your Spurs. They are overwhelming favourite here. 13-5 is your Villa. 31-10 is the draw. It's tight. The bookies giving it to Spurs. I'm not so much thinking it's going to be that much of a landslide. But I'm going to give it just the edge. Tottenham 2-1 winners. Villa busy week. Of course, double match week this week, double match week next week with the Champions League again. So resources might take a bit of a pounding. So I'm going to go 2-1 win for Spurs, who will need this if they're going to compete once again for the top 4. And then we go to Old Trafford in what could be the dawn of a new era, or it could be Ruud van Nistelrooy's one and only game as Premier League coach. That's right, Ruud and Manchester United take on Chelsea and Enzo Maresca coming at you at Old Trafford on the 3rd of November, which will be a Sunday. 80 times they have played since 1993. 26 wins for Manchester United, 27 wins for Chelsea. There's been 27 draws. Goodness gracious me. 42% form for Manchester United, just one win in the last 6 up against Chelsea, just one defeat in the last 6. They're on 75% form. They are 5th compared to United's 14th, 11 points to Chelsea's 17. Now, the last time they played at Old Trafford, it was a 2-1 win for Manchester United, of course. But the away side hasn't won this game since Manchester United beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge back in February 2020. Chelsea on the back of a 2-1 win over Newcastle. They will be playing them again in the week in the Cup. Manchester United will take on Leicester also in the Cup in what's been dubbed a very, very busy week for the Power 6, Power 8 clubs, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, the odds for this one, Man United 8-5 for the victory, 31-20 is Chelsea, 12-5 is the draw. I had made my pick on this game with Erik ten Hag at the helm, but then I had to redo it again this morning to bear in the factors, because we've got to bear in the factors. Will Ruud be in charge? Will be there a new coach in charge? I don't know. Ruud's got possibly this Wednesday's game against Leicester to showcase his skills, or maybe put himself in the bracket as the new head coach. Or, you know, is he going to be one and done? Will they have a new coach before the game? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff up in the air regarding this position. But regardless, let's turn the clock to this game. Focus on it. I'm going to go with a Man United win here. Whether it's Ruud, whether it's a new coach, whatever. 2-1 win. Big win for them. Maybe a chance for some players who've been sitting on the fringes, or maybe not really delivering their best performances, to stand up and deliver. Because this game is massive for the future of Manchester United's season. Win this, they might be able to get themselves back on track and dent a rival's own dreams for top 4. Next up, we go to Craven Cottage, that's right, as Fulham entertain Brentford, a bit of an all-London crunch clash, that's right. Fulham under Marco Silva sit 10th with 12 points to the name, up against 9th placed Brentford, who are on 13 points to the name. They've played 18 times since 2014. 5 wins for Fulham. There's been 9 wins for Brentford. There's been 4 draws between the two sides. Fulham, though, win this in 3 up against Brentford. Just 1 defeat in the last 4. Now, the last time they played over at this very venue was a 3-0 win for Brentford back in August 2023. In fact, they did. They were unbeaten against Fulham last season and back-to-back clean sheets. Fulham, though, on the back of a 1-1 draw against Everton. Got all week to prepare for this game. Brentford on the back of that 4-3 win over Ipswich, but they'll take on Sheffield Wednesday this week in the Cup. Bit of an unwanted distraction, you would imagine. The odds, though, for this one, even Stevens is your Fulham, 5-2 is your Brentford, 27-10 is the draw. It's all London crunch clash. Fulham needs some points. Brentford looking good right now. I think I'm going to go with a 1-0 win for Fulham. Upset the apple cart. All eyes on this. Monday Night Lights. A big win for Fulham to take it to the house. That's my picks, guys. What about you? Let me know down below. And, of course, get your own picks in using the Super Brew, as we've got a busy week ahead. And, of course, busy, hectic week just around the corner. But that, my friends, completes my picks. Make sure you subscribe, smash the like, and, of course, come back next time around. But until then, we're done.